you tweeted, I think it was yesterday, that something to the effect of, the Wild were at the top of the league and they could end up barely making the playoffs and you would still be elated, was the word that you used. And you talked about surviving and all of this. And the Wild obviously are coming off a 5-game losing streak. They get a win in Boston, part to a Matthew Boldy goal. We're recording this ahead of the Capitals game on Saturday night. But what were your feelings through that losing streak? It seemed like Wild fans went through every emotion in the book, from, I'm devastated, this team isn't going to make the playoffs, to everything is fine, don't worry about it. Where did you fall kind of in that, in that ranking during that losing streak? And even now, they only picked up one win here. Who knows what the next few games will look like, but where are you sitting here?
Well, first off, regarding the tweet, my point was, like, a month ago, if you would have told me, hey, the Wild are going to struggle to make the playoffs, I would have been right. You'd be depressed. You'd be deflated. Be like, well, and now we're at the stage where Kaprizov is hurt. Your two best defensemen are hurt with major injuries. Your best center is hurt with a major injury. You don't have a goalie. You don't have a starting goalie. And then
wait. Let's just hold that. You don't have a goalie, right? Don't have we'll get to that. We'll get to that
in a second. But then you got, Greenway and Duhaime and Bukes. I mean, the lineup you're going to see in Washington tonight would have looked like a preseason game lineup, right? That's what you see in the preseason, where it's mostly Iowa Wild guys, and you've got maybe a line and a half of NHL players, and that's what they're playing with tonight. So we're at the stage now where they've dropped a little bit, and to me, if you just make the playoffs, but you're healthy come playoff time, I still think this team has a chance. It can be one of the top teams in the Western Conference. Obviously, you're always going to have to go through Colorado in your own division, which is going to be pesky, and probably end up having to face Vegas at some point. So it's still going to be dicey once you get there. But now my mindset has completely changed. I'm just getting the playoffs and be healthy when you get to the playoffs. But to your question about the losing streak, I've kind of learned over the years, being a Wild fan, that I try not to get too excited about short stretches of quality play, and I try not to get too down about short stretches of bad play, because it's come back to burn me so many times as a Wild fan. And when the Wild started off hot, I tried to hold off for a long time of getting too excited about them. And then through the losing streak, my concern with the losing streak is you get to the point where just the injuries. I'm more concerned about the health of the team than I am. I think once they're fully healthy, do I still think there may be a player away? Yes. But I think that's a team that can be very competitive in the playoffs and can play with anybody. They've got the speed, and like I said, with Rossi and Boldy coming up, maybe that makes this a more well-rounded team by the time you get to April. But I wasn't down about the losing streak, but now I think it's going to be hard to stay afloat without the player. And unfortunately, the way they operate in the NHL, we never know how long these guys are going to be hurt. Maybe Jesse has more inside information.
Or even what the injury actually is after time.
I directly asked Dean yesterday, and he was just like, doesn't look good. That's his go time.
Yeah, we all saw that. Thanks.
But even to your point, Alexis, my point during the losing streak, when you started to have some injuries, when Spurgeon was going out and Drew Erickson was going out, my comment at the time was, we finally have a team where you can survive some injuries. The last 8 years, if you had any injuries at any point, they didn't have star power to be able to overcome injuries. We finally have a player now where you cannot be the better team on the ice, but Kaprizov can win a game for you, or you can be within a goal 5 minutes remaining in the third period, and you have a game changer that can keep you in games. So my point during when you had some injuries was, well, you have Kaprizov and your goalie's got to step up. Those are the two players that when you don't have the depth you're used to, those are the two guys got to step up. Well, now the goalie's
fast forward 4 days. Yeah.
The goalie's hurt and Kaprizov's hurt. And I don't know if Kaprizov is out 6 weeks. I don't know if he's out 2 games. Right. Yeah. And so it's hard to analyze moving forward what this team's going to look like.